Nature teaches us how to grow. Nature is our context. Nature is our home. Nature teaches us how to grow through this transition because everything is frequency. The rhythms of nature are what we are. And there's relevant information in the things like the seasons, day and night, birth and death, the moon phases, and the menstrual cycle. This isn't just background information. This is the frequency. It is the tone of exactly what we are and that we can no longer afford to deny. So going back into science again, a brief lesson on fractals. So for something to express fractally, it must exhibit self-similarity at multiple levels of scale. So like this image of a tree here, if we broke the branch off right here and we put this branch into the ground and zoomed in, this would look like a tree. If we broke off this branch right here, the littler branch, and put it in the ground and zoomed in, that would look like a tree. So it's self-similar at multiple levels of scale, whether telescope or microscope, there's a similarity there. And nature expresses fractally multiple levels. And this is true of cycles as well. So natural cycles that exist on any fractal level can teach us relevant information about cycles, transformation, and change by observing the way that nature changes. So the fractal levels that we're going to touch on are the solar seasons, the moon phases. So the solar seasons, that's like winter, summer, etc. The moon phases is like waxing, waning, and then also the menstrual cycle, like ovulation, menstruation, etc. So nature, at all of these levels of scale, nature moves through its outward expression with the zenith at the summer solstice, full moon, and ovulation, waning through the luteal phase and autumn, and down to the nadir of the cycle with menstruation, new moon, and winter. So where we are right now at the fractal level of the year, which is determined by the sun, it's in the season of winter. I consider winter here between Samhain and Imbolc. It's like this whole bottom swing right here. So right now we're in between Samhain, this is Halloween, and the winter solstice, which is the darkest night of the year. That's the midpoint of winter, just like the summer solstice is the midpoint of summer. In the solar cycle, we're right here in the feminine retreat time of the year. And the months go through this cycle at a monthly frequency. And at this point in the month, we are right here. At the Feasts of Ingathering, we're always going to be right here in the month. It's the pivot point, the point that we go within during the month. This is an important time of the month. It's an important part of the cycle. And I'm going to talk more about why this is an important part of the cycle and why honoring this part of the cycle is important to the revolution. So what we're doing here, we are turning within in this darker part of the month. We're tuning in, we're reflecting, and we're releasing, and we're realigning. So you were saying like releasing. That's what this whole turn of the year affords us to do. Now is the time to really let go, really drop into surrender, that the inclusivity of the feminine yin dark turn of the year of the month affords us going into surrender of the darkness of the unknown within. And I did say that this turn of the year and the month is a turn towards the feminine. So masculine energy and feminine energy are present in all things. Masculine energy is expansive, is outwardly expressive. It's like the waxing light. It affords us action, expression, and outward motion. And feminine energy moves inward. It has the energy of waning, turning within, and entering the unknown. And feminine energy is inclusive, like death, like the embrace of death unites us all. Feminine energy is more about synthesis and integration. It's more right-brained, and masculine energy is more about analysis, distinction, and left-brainedness. And masculine energy is amazing. It gives us awesome things like the individuation of separate fingers, which lets us do very cool things. That we can do awesome things because we have distinct fingers. But when that analytical, exclusive, separating energy is divorced from its natural counterpart of oneness and inclusion, we're just going off, probably feeling some loneliness, probably feeling some separateness. And that fear of the feeling of being isolated and separate drops us out of our frequency. And that's kind of where humanity has been living. But it's not true that we're separate. So returning to that feminine energy within each fractal level, within each day, within each breath, within each month and each year, doing that return into feminine energy, into rest, into unity, into inclusivity, into that right-brained mode, unites us into the truth that we are all one. So we have an opportunity every month with the waning moon to lean into that autumnal luteal turning within. So these Feasts of Ingathering, this is where that turn within begins. We're kicking off the turn. We're kicking off that transition of going within, going into rest, going into surrender. And it is revolutionary to do this. It is revolutionary. It's in defiance of the expectations and the norms that are built in the denial of our inherent frequency. It's in defiance of the incessant summertime, perpetual daytime, you versus me, incessant production. Aligning to the rhythms of nature is a revolutionary act. And this is a regular cyclical thing, each breath withdrawing from the incessant summertime, each month, each day, returning into that oneness. So it's that foundation of our oneness. From that place, that's where we can expand outward and express individually and then return again. And tuning into the vibratory signature of abundance and gratitude is also a revolutionary act, because society that is built on the masculine energy that's just divorced from the rhythms of nature, it keeps us hunting, it keeps us searching, it keeps us hungry. And a society that's built on that can't sustain when we're aligning to the truth, the true frequency of our inherent birthright, to be inextricably connected to the source of all supply, because our beliefs touch everything at once. So when we're really tuning into the vibratory signature of abundance, that we are richly resourced, it might not look like what we thought it would, but we are connected, inextricably connected to the source of all supply. And gratitude, like opening up our hearts in that joyful expectancy, that like knowing wink, that's like the universe is unfolding for me and I can open my heart, because everything that is coming to me is coming for me in exactly the ways that I need it. If it's humbling, if it's inspiring, it's magical. It is meeting us where we need to be met. So feeling this abundance, choosing to find that abundance and gratitude and aligning to it and believing it is a revolutionary act. And just zooming out a little bit more for a final piece of context, astrologically, so I do Vedic astrology, which uses sidereal calculations, which is measuring based on the astronomical positioning of the stars. I want to focus a little bit more on the external planets, because the further out planets, they move slow and they give us some perspective on what's happening at the collective level. The closer planets are more individual, but from the 0 point of the unknown, the within, from the 0 point of the unknown within, where anything and everything is possible and everything is united in that infinite possibility, we can hold all things at once. We can hold collective energy. And then from this place, we can alchemize collective energy and work through that in our individual embodiment. So Jupiter went retrograde in the sign of Taurus on October 9th, and it joins Uranus, which is also retrograde in that sign of Taurus as well. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, and Uranus is the planet of the unexpected and the revolutionary. So those two planets are in the sign of Taurus, which is about what we value and what nourishes us and our physical world and stability. And both of these planets are retrograde. Astronomically, that means like from our position on Earth, the way that like all of the cycles line up, it looks like they're going backwards in the sky. And astrologically, what it does for the energy of these planets and like what that energy impression makes for us is it's an energy of slowing down and going within and reflecting. So this retrograde time of these two planets, it's a time on behalf of the collective to go within instead of expanding outward. Jupiter is about expansion, but now it's retrograde. It's a time for us to consider what we internally hold as valuable and feel into the bounty that is contained within a seed and seeding the revolution within the fertile ground of the self, nourishing and drawing nourishment from the rich, vast, abundant internal foundation, which is countercultural. That's what we were just saying. It's like it is revolutionary. It is countercultural to find that source of resource within. So that's what I feel like these two planets are calling us towards on behalf of the collective. And now there's a few more outer planets here. So Saturn just completed a retrograde on November 15th, and now it's moving direct in Aquarius. Saturn teaches us where our lessons are, and Aquarius is the sign of revolution. It usually indicates a new way of thinking and humanitarian ideals. And Pluto just completed a retrograde on October 11th, and now it's moving direct in Capricorn. And Pluto represents death and rebirth. And Capricorn represents structures, systems, governments, and authority. So over here, Jupiter and Uranus are taking us within, finding value in our own expansiveness within, setting a new foundation for which to nourish new seeds. And over here, Saturn is leading the march of Aquarian humanitarian change, and Pluto is breaking down and rebuilding structures and systems. So these new seeds that we're going within to plant and to nourish, we don't know what they're going to be. That's part of being in this place of the unknown. That's kind of a part of the passage here. But I feel like we can trust that the trajectory is going to go where it can only go, which is in greater and greater alignment with our true resonant frequency. This is the wave of the revolution, and it starts within. So this is why we're coming together to turn within and tune into our inherent frequency and hear it in each other and support it in each other and reflect it back to each other and hold that tone for each other, because there are challenges in this transition, but we can do it. We are doing it. So when we gather here, retune, realign, and resonate in the energy of the revolution.